rivers and inland lakes that surround us provide us with many recreational opportunities. They come from the very springs that nourish our bodies and sustain the life around us. But these beautiful waters that sustain life can, in an instant, take a precious life away as well.
Central Dispatch, Martin Township Fire Hovercraft team members, we have a report of 2 girls in the river behind the middle school.
On May 26, 2006, Shalila and Ariella Simmons had been playing in the water just steps away from the middle school they had attended earlier on that beautiful, warm spring day, when life changed in an instant.
Within 4 minutes of the time of call, we had our first boat in the water doing a surface search. Within less than 20 minutes, we had 2 other crafts south coming north, working up the river, doing surface search. We string a line across the river, static line across the river, set up to do a dive, to put divers down in the water. Darkness hindered that, so we had to call the search on the first evening. The next day we came back with Michigan State Police, Mecosta County divers, and we proceeded to search for the next 4 days before finding the young ladies.
That whole day was I think everybody in Big Rapids, it was a tragedy for all of us, really, because this, it was just, I wonder sometimes what they did, before they got in the water. Was Shalila smiling? What were they talking about? It's terrible. It's like I want to go get them back. Your mind starts playing tricks on you. You think they're still in the water, and all you got to do is just jump in the water and go get them. Kids see things the way they are on the inside, I think. They perceive the river as being very calm, loving, free, fun, but that's not reality. I think that kids tend to not understand how dangerous something can be underneath, although the surface may look so beautiful on top.
Anytime you're dealing with the river, any river in the state of Michigan, the conditions can change very rapidly. That Saturday that we were out here, around 11 a.m., there was a tremendous amount of rain that they received north of Big Rapids, which caused the river to rise 8 inches to a foot. And right at about 11 a.m., we were standing on the bridge, and you could actually see the water rise that much, which made the currents that you see here that much faster and that much stronger.
When you get down in these waters, the visibility goes to nothing, and everybody thinks the current will just sweep you away, where it has a tendency, once you get to the bottom, and we've learned this as divers, you get down to the bottom and start following along the current will actually just plaster you right to the bottom of the river and hold you there. And you're just not getting away from it. And the only way I get away from it is I've got 6 or 7 strong fire people there pulling on a rope, bringing me back and forth across that current.
The river has a lot of undertows and currents running through it. It has a lot of eddies. People look at the surface and they don't realize the power of the water.
People think that, well, I'm a strong swimmer, I can swim through that current. Sure, maybe today you may be able to, but that current could change an hour from now. And at that point, you couldn't swim through it.
The very current that swept away the two little girls from their family and friends forever continues to flow and provide recreational opportunities to thousands each summer.
It was one of those beautiful summer days. End of the summer, decided we were going to go tubing down the river. We were having a great time. We were talking about water safety. At that point, we came around this last bend before the bridge. Anyone who tubes with me will see me, constantly, moving myself around and maneuvering. And so I thought we were going to be clear, and before I knew it, the current had swiftly pulled us to the other side of the river, and I saw we were going right toward the pylon, the worst pylon there is here. We were attached by a rope. I had a hold of the tube. I said, hang on, I'm going to push us off the pylon. Well, I pushed off, but the current swung Bridget into the pylon, and it whipped me around, and I slammed into the second pylon. And as I was swinging around, I saw her pop right out of the tube. And so the tube was between her and that pylon. I could not get toward her because the current was too swift. I didn't know if I took a step, the current was going to, take me under or around, and then we were going to be separated. She was going to be stuck there. I wasn't going to go anywhere until I could figure out how to get my daughter out of there.
I felt very scared. My legs were shivering because of shock that my mom was forced away from me.
Before I could even tell her what we were going to do, all of a sudden the current threw her around the pylon. I reached out and I yelled at her, reach as far as you can. I grabbed her arm and I pulled her into me. We floated, I don't know, 20, 30 yards before I can touch and walk us out. And so it was a very harrowing experience.
River currents are not the only culprits for the large number of drownings in Michigan each year. One of the most deadly factors our children face is the lack of adult supervision. We need only to turn our back for an instant for life to change forever.
As a medical examiner and as a forensic pathologist, in every drowning death that I've been involved with, where I did the autopsy and participated in the investigation, in every single one, I was able to identify something that could have been done that would have prevented the death. It's a problem that is very common and it affects primarily young individuals. Young individuals and people who are intoxicated are actually probably the two big groups that tend to drown. The other group where we often see drownings are in the very young, the children that are not adequately supervised, that wander off, maybe get into a neighbor's pool, under a pool cover, or even just are left in a bathtub for a while, unsupervised. A parent may walk away for a couple minutes to go answer a ringing phone and they come back and their child has drowned. And sometimes you have to look for the water because it may be just one of those big 5-gallon tubs or something that a kid, and small children, the little ones especially, their heads are very heavy and they're very top heavy, and they may look into that 5-gallon bucket, they fall into it, there's water in there, and because they're so top heavy they can't get out. You can't leave them alone for even a few minutes. If there's water around, there has to be constant supervision. A small child can drown in a very small amount of water.
There are some simple ways we can all prevent these horrible deaths, and although most of us know these already, it is simply all too easy to forget when we are busy in our daily lives. One of the best things to prevent drowning you can do for yourself and your loved ones is learn to swim. Never swim alone, and make sure there is an adult to supervise children, preferably a lifeguard. Know your limits and the environment you are swimming. Children and inexperienced swimmers should always wear a life jacket. We will always be drawn to the beauty and fun that these waters provide, as we should. But each year the numbers of accidents due to drowning grows larger. And these are not just numbers. They are sisters, brothers, friends, and family whose lives all ended too soon. And the grieving family and friends they left behind hope that their heart-wrenching losses will lead to better understanding. Remember, When you venture out into these waters, you are in the midst of a force that demands respect. You can only arm yourself with the knowledge of how to avoid becoming a victim of its power.
I see it every single year this happens. We get a number of these cases every year from around the state where I don't know if people think it's not going to happen to them, but every now and then it happens to someone.
First thing you think, it won't happen to me. That's exactly what I thought. I thought this would never happen to me. So if you think it won't happen to you, you might want to think again.